I'm excited. The people of Akure knows the new national anthem. Please, you may all sit down. I'll be standing in for the executive director. So like I said earlier, my name is Emmanuel Sani. I'm the operations coordinator and programs officer of PROMAD Foundation. And the name of my executive director, to put that in perspective, is Mr. Daesi Ondo Guber. He's the executive director and founder of PROMAD Foundation. He sends greeting from the United Kingdom, where he is currently studying applied data science and artificial intelligence in the University of Bradford. So today is a very, very important day for not just ourselves, but for the good people of Akure, Ondo State, and also for you and I, because we are marking a very, very important event here. And this particular event should also is part of what we believe will contribute to the coming elections in the state, which is also very, very important that we encourage young persons as ourselves to participate directly in deciding who governs us and not leave that in the hands of the minorities. So that being said, to give you a brief background of PROMAD Foundation, we were founded in, so we got our corporate name. The corporate name is usually what we refer to in law as our birth certificate in 2022. But before then, PROMAD Foundation has been functioning through her executive director in Ondo State here in 2019 through the support of HEDA initiative. And he has been running work around monitoring government projects, ensuring effective implementation of government policies to ensure that people living in grassroots community get to benefit from the development and public service delivery of the government. So that is what informed the creation of PROMAD Foundation, who basically came to being to bridge the gap that exists between people living within the grassroots communities and the government. Several research aside that of the organization which I currently work in has revealed that there's a huge gap, and if you want to agree with me here, is that there's a gap between those living in local communities and those in the helm of affairs. The only unifying thing that brings them together is maybe campaign for those that decide to visit some of those areas, and possibly maybe doing voting for those that would be willing to go to the polling booth to cast their vote. So that's the only thing that brings them together. But then there are more things that we as young persons, we as citizens, as indigenes of the state and of Nigeria is supposed to do to promote good governance. Governance is not supposed to be left in the hands of just who leads the state or the country. So PROMAD discovered that gap, and as a solution-driven organization, we discovered that it is important to bridge that gap, because when that gap is bridged, there are a lot of things that we'll get to enjoy. There are a lot of things that would not be ignored anymore if that solution is created to bridging that particular gap. So we came on board to see how we could bridge that gap, to promote participation of you and I, to also ensure accountability, that you and I are asking the right question from the right persons, from the right individual to get solutions to our community need. And also want to see how we could promote also transparency. And to sum all this up, we know that when participation, accountability, and transparency is promoted, is fostered in our respective community, it will give an environment for effective implementations of government policies. It will help the government knows the needs of you and I, and how they could reflect that in preparations of their policies, in preparations of their budget, in preparations of their project, so to ensure that it is reflecting our needs. So we looked into that, and we also noticed that would also implement effective implementations of government projects in our respective community, and that will lead to sustainable development. That, we believe, is the whole idea of the SDGs for some of us that are familiar with that particular concept. The SDG is interested in promoting sustainable development goals, though they are categorized into 17 goals, but we believe that sustainable development, if we could tackle governance to promote participation, sustainable development would be achieved, and it's something that is attainable even as we drive towards the 2030 targets. And since then, PROMAD Foundation has been implementing other initiatives, like we have implemented initiative in boosting youth participation, because we notice even while we are complaining of the gap, there are also several challenges that are contributing to that particular gap. So tracing it further to the root cause of that, that challenge that we are experiencing, which is the gap in governance, is the discovery of knowledge deficiency on political issues. And this knowledge deficiency is common among the young ones, and it has made engaging of the government quite difficult, because the youth do not know how to engage. So we noticed that, okay, the gap between grassroots community that we are discovering also contributing, while youth, though they are the highest in number in the country, and also in most states, even it is even reflected in our report that Ondo State, we also have more youths here. So the gap is that people do not know how. They don't know how to engage. And to solve that particular issue, we started prioritizing capacity building, a program on promoting social accountability for young people, a program which was piloted in the FCT, where we were able to train over 300 young persons, and they are currently in FCT following up on government projects in their respective community to see that those projects are implemented and they are utilized, they are meant to be utilized by the community people. After implementing that of the FCT, we moved to Nasarawa State, where we were able to select people from the community, from the 13 local governments in Nasarawa State, to also ensure that they are also brought to speed on following up on government projects in their respective local government areas. We did the training, which lasted for 2 months, and they have been trained. We have completed that phase of the project. We will be finalizing that with another research to really understand the real issue that is going on in that particular state. That research paper is still ongoing, and we will be completing that after this particular event. Then we came down to Ondo State, Akure State. It is time for election. We looked at our report, research that we conducted, which is part of the document that we'll be unveiling today, revealed that there's a dwindling in participation. Participation not in the sense of if you call people to come and register to vote, they will not go. They will go in their numbers. I think from time in 2019 elections, people were more coming out to come and register for vote, but less coming out to cast their vote. So what would be that particular issue? That's what drove the idea of this particular program and the research documents that we will be submitting today, we will be unveiling today rather, and we would all be seeing our recommendations, and that's how that could be utilized as a tool to help us promote participation in this coming election. And I want to believe that a good number of us that we are media persons does not mean that we cannot vote or that our franchise has been cancelled or you cannot participate in the election. You have your preferred candidate. You should also make sure that you also support the process by also participating in voting for who you believe is the right candidate, because here we are also not promoting any particular candidate. We just want Nigerians, we just want the people of Ondo State to come out. There is pleasure in seeing that people are interested in deciding who governs them and not just leaving it to fate. So we'd like to see the current election come to be where we would have more people in Ondo State comes to participate, and that would not be made to happen if we as CSOs, if we also in the media space, if we as private individuals don't put in our best to see that we educate people, to see that we ensure that people get the right information on what it means to participate in voting and why they need to come out and not leave voting to just the minority individuals that come out, to ensure that they collectively decide the fate of this humble state. So that is like should I say brief? Well, that's a summary for what we are currently going to do here. And to sum that up will be the presentation of our research document, which would be handled by the chairman of our press conference here, Mr. Olabanjo Esquire. So he will be the chairman, he will be the unveiling together.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the various security agencies, gentlemen of the press, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2024, to the press conference on promoting citizen participation in the 2024 Officer Ondo State governorship election through data advocacy and civic education. This is my first appearance. I'm also going to make another appearance. This is just to welcome you. From the little introduction we had from our executive director and founder, we have noticed a decline in voter participation in Ondo State. There is a huge dichotomy between voters' registration and voting. While it is true that a lot of people will come out during registration exercise, it is unfortunate that when it comes to the time of voting, there is a sharp decline. A lot of people will not come out to vote. This is not too good for participatory democracy. The essence and the major objective of voters' participation, like the executive director has said, is to ensure and enhance accountability, to ensure transparency. If leaders who are the aim of affairs know that only a minority people will participate in electioneering processes, it is very easy for such leader to manipulate the system. So it is with this motive in mind, to enhance voter participation, to ensure transparency in the system, to enhance accountability, that we have brought this conference to unveil to members of the public our election analysis in respect of Ondo State. So it is my pleasure as a member of the Board of Trustees to welcome you. And when the time comes for me to unveil the data, I will speak more into my speech. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome.
Just like you have introduced me, I am the Deputy Commandant of Corps, standing in for the State Commandant, Commandant Joshua Obiemi, who is unavoidably absent. As a matter of fact, we would have loved to be here because I received your invite, we went through it, and okay. So he has directed that I should stand in for him. As a matter of fact, just like I was saying, we went through the objectives of the organization. And he himself being a statistician, a data analyst, he saw the great work that you're doing and the importance of research and data on human day activities. And that's why he has directed that I should be here. He so much appreciates what you are doing and he sends his goodwill. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, we are critical stakeholders as far as the election is concerned. And even though the Nigerian police is the lead agency, but we have our whole role to play in ensuring the protection of critical national assets and infrastructures. We know that during elections, when parties are angry because maybe the result of the election did not go the way they want, some of them will go by the way of vandalizing critical national assets and infrastructures. So the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps also, we have deployed data, we have deployed our men to take stocks of the various critical national assets and infrastructures. And this is this we are doing in order to ensure that we're able to deploy men and resources adequately in protecting these critical national assets and infrastructure, and also ensuring that we have elections that is free, fair, and credible. So we are so grateful that we are having this kind of invite from this organization, and I want to register my commandant's readiness to partner with the organization, because the truth of the matter is that we cannot do much in terms of policing our society, in terms of securing our infrastructure, in terms of having an election that is free, fair, and credible if we are not working on data. We are not working on data. We have to know where we're coming from, what has happened, and we can be able to do kind of steady forecast into the future, so that we can be able to put the right things in place to forestall unnecessary whatever. So in that wise, we look forward to partnering with your agency, with your organization going forward. So we're so grateful. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Website development for quite a while now with the PROMAD Foundation. So the third person that should be on that seat also should be the resident commissioner for INEC, who is unavoidably absent. And we would also love to have the presence of you, sir, as part of the persons in the Please, if your hands is not bending, you please clap now. President. So, and the last person here would be myself. So, having done that, we are going straight to why we are here, and that would be the presentation of our research document and also the press conference in proper, which I believe is the reason why we all are gathered here. So thank you so much, guys. We'll be going straight to the event.
Representative of the Commandant, NSCDC, the Program Coordinator, PROMAD Foundation, Technical Coordinator, PROMAD Foundation, ladies and gentlemen of the press, we bring you warm greetings from the board and management of PROMAD. We are a non-profit and non-partisan organization that combines evidence-based strategies with civic technology to bridge the gaps between citizens at grassroots communities and the government to strengthen accountability and participatory democracy for the efficient implementation of projects, programs, and policies for sustainable development. With our headquarters in Gwarinpa, Abuja, we work around the country to empower state and non-state actors through evidence-based strategies and advocacy for accountability, participatory democracy, and development. This press conference is part of our efforts aimed at promoting citizens' participation in the 2024 off-cycle Ondo State governorship election scheduled for Saturday, 16 November 2024, to elect a new governor, which remains a strategic and history-making affair. It is strategic because it will serve as a lens that will provide a view into the future of the state and determine the much-needed vision to consolidate, transform, and move the Sunshine State forward. On the other hand, it remains history-making because it will become part of the state history towards entrenching quality leadership for the attainment of sustainable development goals, SDGs, and saving the citizen from hardship in the country. To make this happen, the electorate in Ondo State, from the standpoint of informed minds, must do their parts, exercising the civic responsibilities bestowed on them by the Electoral Act 2022 and Registration of Voters Act, which are in tandem with the fundamental rights provided in Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As our contribution to the effort of informing, empowering, and mobilizing eligible voters for the Ondo State governorship election, PROMAD, through its Election Analytics Project, EAP, and the Civic Matters, supported by MacArthur Foundation and Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, has embarked on a research publication for which we will be unveiling today. Earlier this month, we commenced a radio program on Glow 99.1 FM, Akure. The radio program has proven to be a very good platform for reaching the grassroots, targeting audiences and electorates who are in their mid-ages and elderly voters in Ondo State. According to INEC data, this age group accounts for 64.59%, representing 1,326,117 out of 2,053,061 voters. We are also implementing strategic advocacy and communications on digital platforms to drive citizen participation in the governorship election, key in targeting Ondo State electorates, especially the youth, students, and digital enthusiasts, representing 726,944, which is 35.41% of the registered voters in the state. Our research findings. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, published that 2,053,061 voters have been registered and validated to vote in the election. This figure appears huge, but the state has a history of low participation and turnout during elections. At least in the last 3 governorship election cycles, mobilizing the electorates registered to vote according to INEC remains a very huge task that needs to be done by stakeholders. Increase in population and voter registration. In the 3 election cycles, 2012, 2016, and 2020, analyzed, just as the state's population, the number of registered voters has moved from 1,638,950 in 2012 to 2,053,061 in 2024, declining participation and voting. Our analysis indicates that while voter registration has increased in each election cycle, it did not translate into more turnout and votes on election dates as accredited voters, and total votes kept reducing in each election cycle. Analysis of 2024 voting strength by senatorial, on the basis of senatorial districts. Ondo Central, we have 825,367, which is about 40.20%. Ondo South, 673,445, which is about 32.80%. Ondo North, we have 554.249, which translates to 27.0%. 6 local government areas to watch out for in 2024 Ondo governorship election. The 6 local government areas to watch out for in the election include 1, Akure South, which has about 314,710. Ondo West, 190,666. Odigbo, 154,382. Ilaje, 147,208. Owo, 143,751.
Today marks an important moment in the democratic journey of the good people of Ondo State as we discuss the urgent need for increased citizen participation in the upcoming 2024 off-cycle election in Ondo State. Our goal is to combat the decline in voters' participation. The return to democracy in Nigeria on May 29, 1999, which foresaw the transition of power from General Abdulsalam A. Abubakar to President Olusegun Obasanjo, was a very hopeful occasion, reigniting aspirations for Nigeria to be a beacon of democracy in Africa. However, we are now confronted with this disheartening reality where public sentiment is clouded by cynicism and disengagement from the electoral processes. Voter participation has steadily declined according to the reports from INEC. Participation in the last election dropped to about 29%, a clear difference from the previous years in our national election. This decline comes from a growing distrust in institutions and the government failure to deliver on certain development promises on education, security, and development. Our research publication that would be unveiled today, as has been clearly stated by our chairman, buttressed clearly with data on this decline, particularly in Ondo State. This downward trend reflects a belief that elections have become associated with disillusionment rather than hope. Voter apathy, especially among the youth and marginalized communities, poses a significant threat to our democracy. Hence, it is crucial to emphasize the importance of citizens in a democratic society. The essence of democracy is the ability of young people to critique, hold leaders accountable, and demand for the fulfillment of government's promises. Citizens must recognize that their voice matters and participation is not just a right, but effective for good governance. PROMAD, through our election analytic project and the Civic Matters radio program, recognizes the need to continue to mobilize citizens, particularly the youth, through research, data, advocacy, and civic engagement to rekindle the interest in the electoral processes. We aim to ensure that every citizen understands the significance of their vote, and also we look forward to simplifying the voting process and also encourage active participation of voters. We stand at a crossroad in our democratic journey today. While doubts may linger, we also should know that we possess a collective power to overcome it through active engagement in the electoral process. The 2024 off-cycle Ondo governorship election is not just an opportunity to exercise our rights, it is a chance to reclaim our democracy and shape our future. We need to begin to effect the change we want, and this can be done when we willfully vote for the leaders of our choice without fear. We are concretely against any form of electoral malpractices and misconduct of any kind, including voters' inducement, voters' buying, which has become an unreal phenomenon in some of the Nigerian elections. We want the electoral process to be an enabling environment for citizens to participate freely in deciding who governs them, which we believe in turn enhance the delivery of the dividend of democracy. As we approach the Ondo State governorship election, we urge every eligible citizen to educate themselves and stay informed about the electoral processes using our research document, which we shall be unveiling today. You should also engage with their community members on key issues through community organizing for action strategy and also participating in town hall meetings with candidates. And it is also important, finally, that we come out in mass to vote on the election day, as it should not be allowed in the hands of minority to decide the fate of what happened to the entire population of Ondo State. In conclusion, democracy, they say, it thrives when citizens are engaged, they are informed, and they are also proactive. So let us join forces to restore faith in our democratic institutions and ensure that our collective voices resonate in the coming elections. Thank you so much. May God bless the good people of Ondo State. Comments from the representative from Civil Defense and comment from our communication associate. Then we'll move straight to question and answers from members of
presentations and research findings as well. These are very, very laudable, and there is something I actually want to speak to, and that's item 7 under your presentation, sir. We talked about that this foundation is implementing strategic advocacies and communications on digital platforms to drive citizens' participation in this governorship election. And you also made reference to the fact that bulk of the people in this category are youth, students, and those who are digital enthusiasts. We all are aware that most of the violence that erupts, especially during elections, usually starts online. There are false informations that sometimes are spread. You know, people will just come up with something. There is violence somewhere, so people are carrying something somewhere. You know, this is happening, whereas it's unfounded. And at the end of the day, we see that people have started destroying things, they've gone to the streets and what have you. So I want us to critically look at how this foundation, suggestions, how do we fact-check information that is shared online? How do we ensure that our citizens, they get the right information so that people don't just share or spread rumors? To have an election that is free, that is credible. That is my concern. Please, I want us to look into that. I want us to speak to it so that we can also be able to educate the citizens. Thank you, sir.
So the publication is going to be made available on our website at promadfoundation.org, as well as on our social media handles. Our election analytics handle is election data NIG, election analytics, election data NIG. That is the handle across Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly Twitter. It is going to be available at our handle at PROMAD Foundation, and our handles are PROMAD NG across Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, as we call it now, and then Threads. Our website is promadfoundation.org. It's going to be available on outside the hall. We have a barcode there on our banner, which all of us can scan. And soon after this event, after the launching, we're going to make all this information available. So we urge all the audience to follow us on our social media handles and watch out on our website to get a copy of this. It is already on the website, and the links are going to be made available on our social media handles. Thank you, and we encourage the youth to come out in mass. As we have seen, the statistics show that there's a decline of those who come out. The registration numbers are high, but those who show up for accreditation and voting, there's a decline in their statistics. We encourage people to come out in mass and do their registration so that we will not have just a few persons to decide the fate of our seat, the Sunshine State. Thank you all.
So that being said, we'll be giving opportunities for questions and answers, or maybe if there is comments from our guests here.
what the representative of the commandant said, because that information and that question is very, very strategic. One of the major weapons of violence during electioneering processes is information. When information is not well managed, information can be a trigger for violence, gangsterism, hooliganism, and bloodletting. And in the 21st century, the veritable platform for information now are the social media. So, and when we look at the statistics that we have unveiled, the major sector of the population that participates in election in Ondo State, even in most other places, are the youth. It's even unfortunate that the business people, the executive people, they are the low rank. The civil servant, they constitute less than 1%. And these are the people that feel the impact more than students. You understand? So, as an organization that is interested in transparency, accountability, and peaceful election, we are deploying a number of mechanisms through social media, through our Instagram handle, and other platforms to make sure we do a lot of voters education and we encourage voter participation in a way that we ameliorate violence and we encourage credible information. And this is an opportunity also for us to talk to press to verify any information that comes to them during this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Foundation also is also working in collaboration with Daily Agent Analytics. So that Daily Agent will also adopting a fact-checking tools to look out for information that are not correct when they are released out there, and we're able to capture some of them. In partnership with this particular organization, we're able to fact-check them, and if they are wrong, we post them out there to ensure that people do not fall for that particular false information, especially during important events like elections, that any slightest information can go south. So since we don't have any questions, the next on our agenda will be pictures, then group photograph before the closing remark from our communication associate. So thank you so much.
Member here, in the person of Mr. Olubanjo Ayenikin, who is a barrister, I want to appreciate the presence of NCDC here represented well. I want to appreciate all the members of press and all other CESOs present. Thank you all for making our time to be here, and we're looking forward to a credible election and fair election, whereby we have a good number of the Ondo persons come out to cast their vote and choose the future of the state. Thank you all once again for being here, and we have a safe return to your various destinations. On behalf of PROMAD, thank you once again.